I mean, sure, adding parameters to your console apps is pretty cool, but having suggestions automatically in them is even cooler. Let's mash on that.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Asp.Net Monsters. I'm Dave Paquette, and today James Chambers will be showing us how to add auto-suggest to our .NET-based command line interfaces.
Yes, absolutely. So, Dave, you probably remember I was working on a little app called Lemonade Stand, and I'm just gonna
Yeah,
share my screen here because we always remember to share our screen.
always.
So I've got this little app. Now, this is based on the game from back in the 70s that lets you basically make some choices and uh, set prices, make signs, and things like that. It's a little math game to help teach kids, introduce them to some business concepts and stuff like that. And when we introduced it back in March, one of our viewers out there recommended that we add command line options. And this is a great little idea. They suggested, so thank you, OzBob, for the recommendation. They suggested a couple of examples like the player name and the base modifier. And I think we can get there with player name. Base modifier is something that affects the randomness of the game. So it might, I have to think a little bit more how that actually might get implemented. But I thought this was a great idea. And a ways back, Simon introduced us to the extensions that allow you to add console arguments and simplify that process. Basically, the command line API package that you can use, and that lets us do some cool things. So where I went with this is I said, I've already got the name of the game right here. Welcome to Lemonade Stand. What if that was something that you could customize? So I want to introduce the user to the idea of being able to pass in a console app. And remembering this is kind of superfluous for this game. Really, the intent here, this is a project that I'm working on so my daughter and I can code together. And so I will just go into the location of the app here. Let's see, I'm going to go to, I have to remember what's in this directory, Dave. What do we got? Okay, Lemonade Stand. And then we're going to go into source. And I think I actually call it console. And then it's DrinkStand. We'll have to go into the bin directory. And likely into the .NET 6. Yeah, there we go. Okay, and now when I have a look here and see what's in here, I've got my drinkstand.exe. So I actually originally called it DrinkStand because I thought it would be a neat idea if the people who wanted to work with the code base could quickly change it to something else. Like instead of a lemonade stand, maybe it was a hot chocolate stand. So if I go to drinkstand.exe, I want them to be able to change the name here. But of course, how are they going to know what the actual parameter is and if it's even there, et cetera, et cetera. So what I did is I created a parameter called game name, and this package called DragonFruit wraps my my exe through the build process. And I think there's some like things that interject with like code generation and whatnot. It extracts some of this information, the signature, the types that are actually in the signature of the method so that it can do some binding for you, but also the parameter name. So I have game name and the summary. So it actually pulls this information out and it introduces this really cool thing where I can just do -H and I can see all of those things. And that's really cool. So when life gives you lemons, set up a stand. That's the description. And then it's taken my game name parameter and it's kind of, what do we call this? Like kind of kebabbed it or something, I guess.
Or
So,
kebab case. Yeah.
right. So now I'd be able to do the dot/drinkstand.exe, and I could type game name, and that would actually work. And then I can put in quotes, hot chocolate stand.
Could even be a
And
taco truck if we wanted.
oh, hey, we could be a taco stand. Why don't we do that? Now, the rest of the game is going to seem really weird when you are,
Very.
making signs for drinks for your taco stand. But anyways, when I start it now, it says welcome to taco stand. And the really cool thing here is other than adding a couple of comments and installing the package, I didn't have to do anything to make all of this work. Now, we already looked at this package. What I wanted to do, though, is to take it one step further and say, okay, well, I don't want to have to type this all. I just want to hit the tab key and get game names show up. And that's kind of what we're looking at today. And so this is where DragonFruit comes in, along with something called dotnet-suggest. So again, let's just have a look at the project quickly and see what changes we made here. Essentially, I was using the minimal API, minimal exe kind of approach to the class before. I did have to introduce a class and a static void main in order to get the tooling to pick this up in DragonFruit. But this is, pretty simple stuff. This is the stuff that we're usually writing when we create a class anyways. So I added the parameter. I set a default on it, and you'll notice that when I do the -h here for the help, it's literally pulling this from my summary. It is pulling it explains how to use it like any other. Like this actually looks like somebody spent some effort in putting this together, but more importantly, it looks very consistent with the ecosystem of CLI stuff that's out there right now. So it shows, game name, and it tells you how to name it, but it also shows you the default and what's there. So as we expand our options for the game, we could actually have a lot more in here that the game accepts as parameters. So that's really cool. And all I did, honestly, is I added a dependency to command line initially, and then command line DragonFruit. And those simple two package references did all of the build out for the suggestions to work. So there's not a lot to explain here. It's really low friction. However, there's a couple of things that you're going to need to do in order to get this fully functioning. And one of them is installing this tool called dotnet-suggest. So we do have to do a global install on it. I'll just pull that up in NuGet, and you type .NET tool install -- global .NET-suggest, and then pass in the version. You can of course copy that here. And then secondly, once that's installed, you need to light up your console. So you have to adjust your profile, your default profile, and it gives you a script here that you have to add to your default shell. So I have added this to my default shell, and I believe that it even will tell you how to do that. For PowerShell, add the contents here. You can find it by running echo profile. So if you just type echo profile here, it'll show you where your the path to your default profile. And if you're running something like code, then you can actually do code profile instead of echo, and then it'll open up your profile. Ooh, I got some release stuff going on here. It'll open up your profile script, your default PowerShell profile script, and then I've added this little tag here. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I did do this install. Both the tool and the modification to my default profile, and at first it did not work. The suggest did not work. I subsequently rebooted the machine a couple of times. I did have an update to some of the SDKs on my machine, and then while it still wasn't working, I did connect with Dave and Simon to see, hey guys, I want to show you this because it's not working. And of course, I typed DrinkStand and hit tab, and then game name started working. So maybe there was something with restarting PowerShell, or a combination of updates to the SDK or whatever. I wasn't quite sure what it was, but basically, right now I'm running on .NET. Well, I can even do this here. I can do .NET. Oops. Get the right thing in here. I can do version, right, to get my I'll just do version. Yeah. So I'm running on 6.0.100, and I'll include obviously the link to the GitHub repository where this code lives, and it'll work. You'll be able to find sorry, what was I trying to say here? The script and everything that you need to do to put in here. I will say though, there's a couple of things that you do need to do. You do need to register your app with .NET-Suggest, and once you've done that one time, it'll work in perpetuity. So in order to do that, we'll just go back in and hit .NET-Suggest H, and then there's a couple of things that you can do. So you can see here, the tool is still in, I believe this is either alpha, it might be beta now, but if I do .NET Suggest and I do a list, you can see I tried a couple of times to get things like DrinkStand and .NET-Suggest working properly. I don't know about how I go about unregistering this stuff quite yet. So I'm going to dig into that a little bit in more detail. But there's some other things that you can do, like you can get the suggestions from a specified executable. So if you know that something's registered with .NET-Suggest, then you can kind of query it and figure out what is available. So if I do drinkstand.exe, I'm going to do .NET-Suggest, and I can do a get, and then I have to tell it the name of the executable, and it's just drinkstand.exe, and then it'll actually pull all of that out for me. Again, I didn't have to do any of that to add the game name, the help, the version, or any of the modified parameter names or tokens there. DragonFruit did all of that for me, and now as a user, I could do .drinkstand.exe, and of course I can do the -h and then see a more prettily formatted version of that. So yeah, that's it in a nutshell. Pretty easy to get going, and I will include all of the tooling links in the description of this video.
That's great. Thanks for sharing, James. And remember to like, comment, and share, and we'll see you all next time.
Awesome. Cheers.
Bye.